The flight from Denver to New York started out just like any other. Calm skies, soft chatter, the steady hum of engines slicing through morning clouds. Families returning home. Business travelers buried in laptops. Half-awake tourists staring out their windows. Everyone had their routine. Everyone, except the boy in seat 12A. 12-year-old Ethan Miller sat by the window. Quiet, as always. A polite kid, small for his age, thick glasses, and a backpack stuffed way too full for a short flight. But inside that quiet frame was a mind that never stopped observing. Ethan didn't just like airplanes, he lived and breathed them. He could name aircraft by silhouette, list engine types from memory, and spent hours studying flight manuals most adults couldn't even pronounce. That morning, while other kids were watching cartoons, Ethan was reading a beginner's guide to aircraft systems. He was deep into the chapter on engine diagnostics when a flight attendant rolled by. "Juice, sweetheart?" she asked with a smile. "Apple, please," he said, eyes still fixed on a diagram of turbine failures. For the next hour, everything seemed routine. Then something shifted. A faint jolt, barely noticeable, a tremor through the floor. Most passengers didn't even look up, but Ethan froze. He knew that sound, the subtle hiccup in the rhythm of an engine. He pressed his forehead to the window, watching the right wing. His pulse quickened. That stutter. He'd heard it before, in a flight simulator video explaining the early signs of a compressor stall. He turned to his mom. "Mom, I think something's wrong with the engine." She smiled softly. "Sweetie, it's fine. Probably just turbulence." But Ethan wasn't convinced. He unbuckled his belt, walked calmly up to the nearest flight attendant, and tugged gently at her sleeve. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said. "I think engine 2 might be having a compressor stall. You should probably tell the captain." She blinked, caught off guard. "Oh, what makes you say that?" Ethan straightened his glasses. "There's an uneven vibration under my seat, and the right turbine's rhythm lagged for a few seconds. I read, that's a warning sign. If it continues, it could lead to thrust loss." The attendant stared, unsure whether to smile or panic, but something in his tone so calm, so sure made her take him seriously. "I'll let the captain know," she said finally. She walked toward the cockpit, half expecting it to be nothing. But 10 minutes later, the intercom crackled to life. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We're experiencing a minor technical issue and will be diverting to St. Louis as a precaution. Please remain seated." A quiet murmur swept through the cabin. Curious looks, mild concern, but no panic. The landing was smooth. Within the hour, everyone was safely in the terminal. What the passengers didn't know was that Ethan had been absolutely right. The right engine had entered the early stages of a compressor stall, something that, if ignored, could have ended in disaster. That evening, as most travelers continued on new flights, Ethan and his mom were approached by a man in a Navy suit. "Mrs. Miller," he said, extending a hand. "I'm with the airline's safety response team. We understand your son may have alerted the crew to an issue." Ethan nodded shyly, clutching his flight book. "How did you know?" the man asked. Ethan shrugged. The vibration pattern was off. It didn't sound like a healthy turbine. The man smiled in disbelief. "Well, son, you might have just saved 180 people today." By morning, the story was everywhere. 12-year-old aviation enthusiast prevents mid-air emergency. News stations wanted interviews. Social media exploded. But Ethan stayed home, quiet as ever, flipping through his flight manual. Then came a knock at the door. A courier handed his mother a sealed envelope stamped with a golden insignia. She opened it and gasped. "On official invitation to Washington, D.C. for a ceremony hosted by the highest office in the nation." Within days, they were on a new flight, first class, courtesy of the airline. Ethan, in a new navy blue suit, looking both proud and terrified. Inside the grand halls of the Capitol, the floors gleamed like mirrors. Portraits of leaders lined the walls, and everyone in the room turned as the boy who'd saved a flight walked in. "Do I really have to talk?" he whispered. She smiled. "Just be yourself. That's all you've ever needed to be." Moments later, the doors opened to a grand chamber filled with cameras, officials, and reporters. The president himself stepped forward, hand extended. "Ethan Miller," he said warmly. "It's an honor." Ethan shook it shyly as the president turned to the crowd. When a 12-year-old boy heard something wrong aboard a plane, he didn't ignore it. He spoke up. And because of that, nearly 200 people are alive today. Courage doesn't depend on age, it depends on awareness. Applause filled the room. The president opened a small box and pinned a shining medal to Ethan's blazer, the Civilian Medal of Bravery. That night, from their hotel balcony overlooking the Capitol, Ethan's mom wrapped an arm around him. "Proud of yourself?" she asked softly. Ethan nodded. "I didn't think anyone would listen. I thought they'd laugh." "They listened," she said, "because you believed in what you knew." He looked up at the stars, his stars, and they felt closer than ever. Back home, the town threw a parade. His classmates cheered. Teachers told his story. But through all the fame, Ethan stayed the same, humble, curious, hungry to learn. He still spent hours reading about aircraft engines. Only now, his dream was bigger. He didn't just want to fly planes, he wanted to design them, protect them, perfect them. Years later, when he walked through the gates of MIT as a freshman aerospace engineering student, a framed letter hung above his desk, the one signed by the president himself, in a world full of noise. You chose to speak with purpose. You made us listen. And you made us proud. Long before that, though, he was just a 12-year-old kid on a plane who heard something no one else did, and refused to stay silent.